And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to EU League. It's stage 3 of the 2021 competitive year, Playday number 2, and it is our 5th game of the night. Welcome back to the Analyst Desk. I'm Alex the Medic, your host. With me are Fresh and Jess. And my friends, we're going to talk about our fight for relegations here, Heroic and Rogue. Fresh, just to preface all of this, we were the entire night talking about, or earlier on, saying, hey, who goes to Invitational? Hey, you know, we got teams locked in for the next season that could never be relegated no matter what. What's the dealio with these two squads, and Heroic specifically?
Heroic specifically this is near enough do or die. This is the biggest game of the season by far for them. They need to win to stay in with a chance. If they end up losing this game, there's various permutations for if they overtime win, overtime loss. But statistically, if they lose, they've got something like an 80% chance of being auto-relegated.
And that's auto-relegated. I think people forget that there's 2 relegation spots. One of them is you're out, you're going into the paper. What's the thing that cuts the paper?
Paper shredder.
Paper shredder, you just go straight in the paper shredder. You don't have a chance.
Counting.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is why we have him. He's going to be the second hand for my brain here. But you're going straight into the shredder. But if you finish in that second last place, you can still fight your way out, just like Rogue has already done before. So I do think they have a very good chance of keeping that second to last spot, but it's shaky. Heroic could still, bring.
If Heroic win, it puts Heroic, Secret, and Rogue right back in the mix, and they're in a little mini league within 1 or 2 points of each other. However, if Rogue win, it puts clear daylight between Secret and Rogue.
We got more teams than NA, so somebody's going to be cut out at the end, right? We don't function in that way. But Rogue on the other side, so we talk plenty about Heroic. They have an opportunity today to still save themselves.
And there's obviously been some big changes that have possibly added to their capacity to be a well-rounded team. I questioned it. In fact, not just me. I'm going to throw you in the mix. We questioned it very heavily. We're like, they need a support player. They need good leadership. The pick that they've done does not match up with our idea about what that is. The man came into Playday 1 and looked like he did the role that was expected of him. So I'll eat my words. They taste nice. Yeah.
And we'll counter this, that Prano is an exceptionally versatile player and can do the job there. I think what we was more questioning is that the right role for Prano as well?
Yes.
Because in my mind, you would want him on a more Lurk, Fragger-based role.
Yes.
So to bring him in as IGL kind of hard support is what was a question mark. They got over the line against VP, but as I said in the pre-match for VP should have won that.
Correct.
If VP played the late rounds properly, VP would have won that, and we would be saying very different things. So it's not quite cut and dry. There's still it's a question mark in my mind. It's a small question mark, I'd say.
Oh, went from the big one to just a little one.
Yep.
There you go.
Sometimes that's all you need. Ladies and gentlemen, our map in this series. Let's see which one it is. Again, a 7-map pool. 6 are out. 1 is left for best of 1, our final one for the evening. And let's throw it up on the screen for you. Which will it be? We're going to have Clubhouse. Villa removed by Rogue and Bank taken out by Heroic just before that. And on the attacking side is where Rogue will start for this decider. We've seen Clubhouse earlier today in that Navi Kovana game, and that was, wow, a hell of a game between them. What are the expectations for this year, Fresh?
Well, they have history. These two teams have history on this map. Heroic did beat Rogue back in stage 1 on this map. So Heroic will feel comfortable going into this. They've got the defensive start, which for most teams is a comfort start. Start on the defense, get 4 rounds or more ideally, and then try and see it out. For Rogue, this is the opportunity, I think, for Prano to really show his IGLing.
I agree.
On Clubhouse. And I think we will get a really good gauge of where Rogue's at.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to speak on behalf of Heroic here, who is generally heroic on defense and generally the opposite of heroic on attack, on Clubhouse specifically. Their attacking win rate is something horrific, like 25 to 30% on any of their attacking rounds, but it is a popular map for both teams, regardless of their low win rate on it. So I do think that if there's a battleground to go to possibly save yourself from being auto-relegated with your brand new organization of Heroic behind you, you go to the one where this is fair and square for both teams. Rogue on the other side is almost 50-50 on their attacking and defensive win rates, so they are looking like the more balanced team, but it's a brand new set of rosters here, and I have to throw out there very, very quickly because we didn't allude to it before. Tortank, their manager, put on Twitter earlier on that unfortunately they have decided their new rookie Thunder, after a little bit of a trip and a stumble in his debut game, knowing how very important this matchup is, the team sat together and they spoke and they said that it would be better to put Shukri in, someone who's a little bit more well-prepared and well-oiled to take on such a big match with a lot of pressure. And I think they've made the right decision. And shout out to Thunder, who may have not had the best debut in the world, but will absolutely be back to show us more of what he's got.
Of course, Shukri is a loan from Death Row, an organization that we've heard plenty of in the French scene and in the Challenger League. Fresh final thoughts before we go in our lobby set?
I do wonder about this change. Because I think you change a player to bring in a new player and then change him after one game. It's a lot of instability. And
They're
that
worried.
never leads to good things.
I know, but they're worried. They're going to do it.
Drastic measures.
Yep. Throw it all at the wall and see what sticks.
And at this point, you got to try something. It's desperation time
Yeah.
for Heroic, and they go up against Rogue on Clubhouse, a most classic map that is known through the map pool. So, Jess Fresh, how about we then throw it to game and actually see how it is? We're going back to Hanover, ladies and gentlemen, to North Germany, and we got our friends Hap and Emmy to take us through it. Enjoy, my friends.
Yeah, it will be desperate times call for desperate measures in that case. So you have the little bit of a check. What are you laughing about?
It's just the way Milos threw that. He said, enjoy our friends. Well, bit forward. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. What were you saying?
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Yeah, that's true. I definitely do. Even in my love life, apparently. Yeah, we find ourselves back in Clubhouse.
Can we start over the throw, please?
Right. They've got to play this to win.
Yeah.
They're playing with Shukri, the Steppen, on the 5th spot because, well, they don't have a choice. This game is too high impact. This game is too important for the whole thing of shaping their entire future. And God, you want Heroic to find a win somewhere. And I'm not just specifically talking about this match. I'm generally talking about this roster that has gone through so much over the past 6 months, let alone before that. And you want them to find some stability. You know, and that's the thing here is they're doing this all in and amongst that.
They've had a lot of bad luck, that's for sure. And you really do not want to say goodbye to them at the end of the stage. But this is basically what is the unfortunate thing about the system. We have to say goodbye to someone. Like who else would we say goodbye to? Like, we cannot say, oh, well, we're ready to say goodbye to
you
Team
can't have
A,
favorites.
you know? It's like, you don't want any one of them to drop out.
No.
Like, you know what? Let's just go to a 12-team league. Let's just not relegate anyone. Either way, these bands we've had before, the Thatcher and Maverick, actually came back to this, I believe, during our... Was it the second game of the day we did, or the first one? Where I said, was Cafe...
Cafe was the first game.
First game, yeah, where I said, like, these bands normally show up on a map like Clubhouse.
Well, there you go.
There
It's also quoted, it was Kayak, I believe, who said that this band set on this map is the most challenging attacker setup. If you're dealing without
I understand.
a Maverick and a Thatcher, it is the toughest way to approach Clubhouse with these two bands gone from the selection of what can be removed. Doesn't mean impossible, but means, toughest available.
Of course, the Hibana will still be available. That means that the hatches are easily to be opened up, considering there is, of course, the K ban that is coming into place. It does look, however, like we are going to an SSG-esque roam, and you know, maybe not with the castle, but we do see the hatch open up. We see some top floor holds that are coming through, so it's at least going to be a big extension, which, of course, many of you at home would instantly say, oh, SSG, we know that one.
The tall hold.
The tall hold.
I think we can see the cams coming into this. We get the vision on them. Actually, as we was walking towards coming onto the set, and I'm wondering if this is actually going to make it on social medias later, what I saw was Cryan leaning into his camera and kissing his camera for the production.
Oh, all right. It's very cute.
Rogue's in a good spirit.
Bartosz will be asking for that.
Bartosz will be demanding for that. Good spirits all around, and I think that's the important part here for both these teams, is they know that they have been fighting around the bottom of the barrel. They both know that they've struggled, and they've both been in situations where, you know, in what is a very tight league and what is a very tough competition, that they are two of the ones that are dangling dangerously close to that instant-chopping block. And they have to, if anything, find the most important. And we've talked about how this is the most important for Heroic in this sort of setup. But, if Heroic find themselves in a bit of a downswing, we know that Heroic can take blood from bigger teams. We know that they've been able to show up at these moments. So Rogue will be well aware of the weight of this game as well.
Of course, and Rogue is also still in the middle of that relegation game themselves as well. They're basically more occupied with Secret at this very time. Yes, they're in a bit of a battle for 8th place, of course, to be the ones that do not play the relegation game. Rogue already have been there at the start of this year. We're the first ever team in Europe, I believe, to survive a relegation game. It's never happened before. So at least they've made history with their bad Stage 2 back then. However, unfortunately, that cursed Stage 2 came around again this year. So now it's up to them to make sure that they make up for it in Stage 3, to make sure they do not have to try and rewrite history yet once more.
A minute 10 and fairly bloodless clear, but look, there's still a body on the top floor of Heroic. They still have someone on that really far loose roam in a position where they might be able to close down. So Rogue have to go short, sharp, and they're going to try that. Prano's going to see if they can stick it. There's nobody in a position to try and stop this as they're buried in dirt. Leon's keeping them a bit at bay, and we find ourselves in a post-plant situation, trying to slip their way back towards the side, but it's Aces is able to lock it off from the opposite side. And I said Durza was on a bit of a loose roam here, and now he's the only one left, and they seem well aware. They saw an opportunity, they saw a pocket of space, and they stuck the plant down in and amongst the mix of it. Finds the first, the spray over the top of Crine, who was just keeping the verticality under control, but with 20 seconds left, and still a lot of players cannot truly drop that hot hatch, because you know there's going to be a split of angles either side. Probably not going to be gifted by the chance to shoot them either way. The pop of the C4 above wants to force them into a more uncomfortable situation, but we find ourselves here careening to a very quick Rogue first round.
Yeah, very clinical start for them, and again, the fist bumps into the camera are coming down, and Aces is like, I bumped it off. They need to put it back down. You're going to see that a lot here today, only if Rogue will be winning a lot of rounds, by the way. So every single time Rogue wins a round, everybody just gets beaten up, basically, with a camera, rather.
Some good energy there. Just behind Leon, that's the IDK.
Would you reckon? Yeah. By the way, yeah, nice little touch there indeed.
Yeah.
But would you reckon that is a addition to the team? Of course, from the mental side of the things. You know, everybody just gives that fist bump to the camera. Would that be, you know, as in like you're giving each other a fist bump? Because I don't know.
It's the practicing of it. It's the idea of it. And at that point, you look for things that work. You look for things that get you more attuned with each other. It's an energy that you have to keep high, because you are, for all intents and purposes, playing a very intense stint. They've had their warm-ups. They've had themselves getting into the right headspace. But if you're in the wrong headspace, that can throw you more than a lot of other things. It's why you'll sometimes, you know, you'll see teams play against each other's headspaces. You'll see teams play into that environment. You obviously see it most impactfully when they're all within the same sort of room and when they're all within the same sort of space. But any translation of that energy, of being in that environment where you're all together, and you're all up against the opponents, into an online form, if you can capture just a little bit of that magic in the bottle, that's something that could really help power a team through, especially one that's been through the lows that Rogue have been.
Definitely so. It's a very strong lineup mentally, you have to almost say, after what they've been through in Stage 2 last year, then the relegation match, which is, of course, a lot of pressure. And now this time again, I really like this mirror window, by the way. It just makes it so hard for the attackers to really go for a breach. Just hard to challenge. And of course, with the fact that the Maverick is already, you know, out of the way, it's not just something you can easily clear out. So you're going to have to use the X-Scars, but as soon as you do that, they'll just open up the mirror window and they start impacting through it. So, you know, it doesn't always seem to work out too well.
Leon, from underneath, is able to take care of that mute jammer, and now they're going to see if they get any response from Lounge. Hoping a rotation comes through from the bar, but nobody is currently in service. So, It's instead just clarifying the angles. A very long range take against that mirror window is how they're going to approach it. Originally, we saw, obviously, the Thermite of Prano go up there to see if he could be the one that opened the damage, but as soon as that mirror window popped, he quickly dropped to the ground, knew that he probably wouldn't be able to get away with the timing that's required of it to get that placed properly, and instead, well, let's utilize some of the glass work that they've offered us here. The angle is put together. It's obviously a much slower approach here because, well, there's much less likely to be that little pocket of space you can throw yourself into, but still, wall open, bit of damage done on the back line. Where are they going to push from next?
Probably Garage Control is up next on the checklist of Rogue. They need to make sure that they can push in from that angle at least. And you see there's no rotation right now, so they will have to create that. That's why the Exothermics could be coming in quite big. So there's that right here, aggressive onto the breach. He's playing an important role because he would be the direct support for Void, who's of course playing on those rafters and will be coming under pressure quite soon. Drones are about to come in. Durza is receiving a little bit of damage, but nothing too big yet. As soon as they manage to display Void, there you have it. That's a displacement. It's just a kill to come through. They have now complete rafters control, which means they can set up for a plant.
Prana just suffered a little bit. I'm wondering where the angle from that came through. It might have been above through onto the floor or just on that angle open on the top of the rafters. Either way, it's something that's given them a little bit of pause for thought here as they're trying to see if they can force them a bit further away. They obviously have the big cross angle, but if they start losing their bodies, especially the diffuser carrier, just from loose swings and loose aggression, it can lead to bigger problems that they can put behind. The cover of the smoke allows him to drive himself up. He's going to open a bit more width, but that C4 doesn't quite get it. Not entirely sure.
He got killed. Durza got killed as he tossed out the nitro cell, and that means he's not going to be able to make anything happen with it. Shukri gets a single kill. Blaz on the flank, however, with an important kill, is going to be taken down one, but he instantly gets traded out. It's only up to Kioxis now, but he got the diffuser down, I believe. It gets picked up by Aces, who's going to go for the hunt, as Leon gets hunting as well, but he gets the kill instead. The M59 not helping it. They have Aces beating up his camera again, as the entire Rogue squad just goes for it, and now he has to readjust it every single time.
He needs a sturdier camera, or he needs to, I guess, not.
Instead of you just need a wall mount for it, so it just moves.
Maybe a little bit of plexiglass in front of it and hit that instead.
The rehost is coming out here, so
the second round this time. It's been the first round.
Yeah, at least we have a bit more to talk about. But yeah, so it's also a bit of a good timing here for Heroic. They have some opportunities to talk now about what needs to go better. Where's Durza? Is he?
I think most of these players are in the same place apart from Sugar.
Yeah. See a bunch of trophies in the background.
Because in the reflection behind Blaz, you can see the operator selection screen.
Yes.
So he's sat alongside Voy.
I'm just trying to figure out what's on the back. There's a brand on there, or like the name of the place.
Well, I don't think you're supposed to just call that random brands. I think they're in just an esports
yes,
space.
I know, but it's I didn't mean brand.
You're not just supposed to advertise.
Space. I'm not trying to advertise. I'm trying to figure out where they are.
You can call out these brands. That's Rogue.
That's Rogue, and Rogue, and Rogue. Yes, exactly.
They're in places.
I think they're in their own houses indeed, with the backdrops right behind them. Aces with a camera that needs readjusting every single time because he starts punching it too much. But yeah, we've just had 2 rounds, and the first one was quite clinical, you dare to say. It was a very, very off-site roam, so control was pretty quickly taken by Rogue. And the second one was quite clinical as well. Just the breaches coming through wasn't the cleanest. However, the control on rafters afterwards was... Yes, diffuser got dropped. But of course quickly picked up. And there was the opportunity to try and go for the kills right afterwards. As Prano just quickly...
He's covering the branding.
Oh, is he?
There was a bit of a conversation about branding. Again, we don't see any of this. We don't see any of these things that aren't sanctioned and sponsored by us. Well, not by us, but...
Which the EUL, of course, has partnered up.
Which the EUL has partnered with. The wonderful sponsors of
the wonderful partners.
The EUL.
Yeah. AimLab, PayPal,
HyperX. Is there any? There's going to be one we've forgotten.
There's 4.
Ubisoft? That's the test now. I'm going to leave it.
Test. Oh, you're leaving it up to me?
Yeah.
You're putting me on the spot here. Oh, look at this shot.
Wow.
Beautiful, actually. When do we have this?
This is cool.
This is very cool.
You can see who's
can we do this
what.
every single time from now on? How?
This is cool. I've not seen this one before. Testing this for us. How nice of you.
Thank you, production. Really appreciate it.
You can also compare how similar they look to the operators that they're playing.
See if there's any correlation between
If you ever, I don't know why people would want to do that, but if you ever wanted to do that, you can.
Yeah.
Now that's the option. Hey, look, there's some cool sponsors. Look at those sponsors. These are the ones that you should actually look at, the ones that are on screen right now. Okay, we're back in. Back in. Another rehost. But hey ho, Rogue. 2 rounds, 2 different paces, 2 of the same result, but in 2 very different ways. It was down to a 1 versus 2 from a bit of a swing. Blaz, with the rotation underneath, was almost able to catch a bit more of Rogue unaware. But
Predator. That was
Predator.
Yeah, see,
maybe if they gave us that.
I was going to say the exact same thing. Maybe if we.
All right, now that Jacob has got one, that
It
means
is the task to get the
all the
entire
NA
EMEA.
team has got one.
Yeah, I think
So now, are we allowed them as well?
the task now is to get EMEA.
Because we don't have.
No. Well, we have one on the desk.
That's
it's
not
already the
ours.
laptop. We named it.
Oh,
At least I named it. I don't
Okay.
think I got anybody with me.
we're gonna put googly eyes on it. No. Yeah, we should. Okay,
All right, we got that mystery sorted.
that mystery sorted.
I'm very sorry.
Predator.
Yeah.
We'd remember if you gave us laptops. Now on the approach, we have, as I was saying a little bit before, it's 2 different sort of round play out there, and Blaz underneath. But the problem is, so far in this game, for them at least, Leon and Aces have shown up. And this was always that danger pairing. This was the pairing of operators when you looked at them, or the pairing of players even, when that could be so powerful. But it's a tough entity to control.
Yeah.
It was tough to find the gel. It was tough to get a consistency between them, obviously, as we saw in the score. And then as soon as, you know, we were without one of them for a little bit of time, the sort of balance that they built was thrown into a kilter. And then trying to re-find that when you're in a running race and you've suddenly found yourself towards the back end of it and you've got to quickly pick yourself up with new meta as well as finding that groove, it became tricky.
It definitely did, and I think at the start, when the roster was announced, you know, you had the roster change coming in, people were like, oh my god, Aces and Leon gets together, that is going to be a killing team. Fortunately, it took a little bit, but, you know, they're here now, trying to make sure that they're surviving for the 2022 season, after a bit of a rough patch yet once more. They're not quite at the top like we used to have them, but, you know, they're also... most of the days is not far off.
Trying to open some deep angles here onto the backside of Armory to see if they can clear that famed pocket of space I talked about before, but this time around, well, there's no tall defense, and that's the big notice and change here. Heroic realized that Rogue was able to punish that very quickly, and they're not going to do the same thing. Leon is going to be the first drive, however, twice in a row he's been able to get in on blue and get that early take. Didn't push himself further this time, because he knew that there wasn't the support coming from the rest of the Rogue players at that time. He would have just sort of been a bit of a sitting duck in terms of the engagement. And with 40 seconds, they still do have a bit of time to try and reevaluate and reform. The flash is not going to be attempted on the drive here towards that mirror window, just watching the edge of blue. There it does go, and there's the pop, the chance on the swing, and the ping that comes around, and the pre-fire stops the growth there of the push, the spray, and another canister. There's only 20 seconds left.
Now Ace is going to be trying to hold off the angle into the A-bomb side, but the rest is trying to go for the execute. Crying, Leon Gitz will both pick up a kill, but the diffuser has been dropped. They need to go for the pickup, but there's a member down on the main stairs. That is going to be the major threat here, but also the player that's right behind the shield is going to be Crying. That gets picked eventually. Got the team kill on Prano, actually. He wasn't even a down. That's going to be giving Heroic their first round in this matchup, and that allows them to at least stay competitive for this first half.
Great response there by Heroic. As we sort of saw in the very first round, they went for a very tall hold. They went to see if they could explore all the echelons of the map. They didn't really get an opportunity because Rogue saw that they were on an Explorer, saw that the 3 bears were no longer in the cabin, went in and ate all the oatmeal.
What?
It's Goldilocks joke.
Oh, okay. I didn't get that one. You know, that's the whole thing. I don't get all the references.
Goldilocks is universal, isn't it? There was porridge. It wasn't oatmeal, it was porridge. 3 different temperatures. Why didn't she just pour the too hot porridge into the too cold porridge and have loads of just right porridge? Take that, Goldilocks. Either way, they saw that there was a gift to be had. And Heroic, no, I'm just hungry. And Heroic responded well. They realized that they needed to pull everything back. They realized that they needed to take it to fight. And even then, it came close. But it came close in the round before. And that's the sort of distance and difference here is Heroic need to try and meet these as flat firefights because that is something that they can meet Rogue with. If they're loose, if they're sort of in these tricky to find situations, especially on a game day where Leon and Aces are both firing very well, their chance of getting away from that unscathed is unfortunately lower than it probably would otherwise be.
Yeah, for sure. Heroic now is set up. Trying to go for a wide roam all the way into the bedrooms, but it seems like a quick fall. I'm not quite sure. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out. They set up all the way over to the jacuzzi side. They're reinforced there. They're even trying to go for a couple of spawn peaks, but then they fall back instantly. And now there's this again going the other way, so maybe still have to play some new gym. I'm not quite sure. Either way, there is going to be the extended roam on the horizontal floor, of course, and Blast will be downstairs as well. So a bit of support coming in from Durza, but Drones, of course, will be giving away the position of the two. They will be well aware that they have to hunt these two down, but there also might be the opportunity for them to go for a roam through the basement, so there's a lot for Rogue to cover right now.
Seeing the mirror window on the far end of the top of the red hold is something that sort of puts you a little bit on ease. And
Alright, so the exothermic charge was placed partially onto the mirror window, which meant it could be shot out if the mirror window was destroyed itself. So that way you lose an exothermic quite early on. Very unfortunate. Really shouldn't have happened. And that means they now need to use alternative solutions to get the wall opened up. There is no impact, so the X-Kairos it will be. Not quite sure if that's... It should be big enough to vault, I think. So that might be used later on. But of course, next step, again, will be garage control.
yeah, it was one of those sort of plays. I kind of handed it over to you to see your, like, what? Frustrated face, and now I guess it's seeing if they can build behind it. As I said, these mistakes are the ones that might end up a little bit costly because they are the ones that sometimes do especially cost Rogue, a team who sometimes find themselves a little bit adrift from how they're trying to lock into the control of a map. Heroic are a team that do like to play these stretch holds. I've suggested a piece at the very beginning about some of their holds as well. They are creative, and they like to try and drive into that, and you know, sometimes if that is something that starts coming together in their favor, Rogue might find themselves a little bit further on the back foot. And here, being this far in, unable to get this opening kill as they try and find this body on the top of the rafters. Will this adaptation be enough? Voy is actually suffering from guns this time rather than grenade.
Below.
Still trying to find a way through, but as you said, Durza is below. Voy is doing everything they can to hold on for as long as possible, but Aces actually gets the drop on Durza. Was isolated and cut off, and now 30 seconds left. They drive their way up the stairs, caught in the animation of standing up, pulls it out of their legs. They lay down to make sure they don't get shot. 20 seconds, and a 3 versus 4. Prano quite injured, and Chaos is going to try and hold in. We're about to have a rotation up on the backside of Red as well. It's going to be the test here on Chaos. This Shukri is in a position where they're still trying to open up from the split side. Just caught on the swing round, got the double. Chaos is close in with the shotgun, goes to swing outside, but he's up the red stairs. It's Shukri on the back of the mirror window that they'd put all the way on the far end, able to close it off.
Good shot there, and actually knife in the mirror window first, basically taking away the little bit of information that could have potentially been used. Of course, it was already a 2v1 situation in favor of Heroic in that case, but managing to win that round again, of course. And now we are heading towards gym and bedroom. Let's see how that one will work out. As Heroic going over there. We saw a little bit of the extend, however, Rogue deciding to just completely, say no. Well, we're not baiting into this. Going for the default take. We're taking the. Of course, they weren't playing this side, but there was a hold here. But they decided, we don't need to attack that. We just go through garage, just go through the rafters. So basically, everything they did here before, in terms of maybe a player playing instead of that position, has been untouched yet. So Rogue has literally not set foot yet on any of this territory here in this map, or for match, so to say. Heroic now setting up the defense, forcing Rogue Dust to come that far. And this time they will be extending towards the CCTV cache. And now, probably Rogue will have to take control of it.
Well, now they don't have much of a choice if they want to try and find their way through. Voy picking up the pulse means we might see some of the play underneath inside the bar and the billiards area, something that's had a little bit of a change and a tweak, enough to make it played as a site for a couple of teams, but not in this game, at least as of yet. Now, with the stretch that goes all the way across the top. They have the mute jammers on the double CC wall to make sure nobody has a quick entrance there from externally. We've obviously still going to get a consistency of the double hard destruction. It's club, it's what you expect to see. And Blaz has also suffered very quickly here. The Goya caught by something.
Yeah, now just stuck in that corner. Leon gets trying to hold. Sugar gets the entry. That's grind down. That shall be covered off for now, so a rotation should not be possible for that. Leon Gids is very close to an encounter here. Might not be aware. Of course, there were some yellow pings to come in, but Blaz also seems to be aware of the fact that there is a player there. Gets the yellow ping himself. That's a nitro to come out. That's a guaranteed kill. Leon will go down. That's a 2-minute advance for Heroic.
Wondering where the call came through there, but it was exceptionally precise for them to be able to get that. Potentially Voy, who's making his busy work known, rips at least. Gets the trade, gets the refrag, and gets the pick back up here as they're trying to rebuild a mantle. They've lost their frag grenades, which could be a bit of a cost and a blow when you're trying to dig your way through there, especially still with 2 more C4s in the pockets of the players. You've been able to take some of the control underneath, but that's not all that you have left to do. The mute jammer is not going to be able to hold on to that. Remember, they've been changed, updated.
Yeah, I thought in the middle it would definitely be able to still hold on to it, though.
Nope.
I thought maybe on the left or right it wouldn't be because it's a sphere, so like in the middle it will be at its highest and at the sides at its lowest, but you know, that was already enough to get the exothermic down, so good thinking there. Will be a little bit hard to maybe contest it standing. You might have a little angle, might not see them crouched, but nonetheless, it's an angle. You have the opportunity to get rid of the mute charge quite, or mute jammer quite easily now, as Rips is still on below.
Now the Pulse is obviously still working overtime here, and as I said, it was the call that likely led to the kill on Leon, and they're going to see if they can do the same here against Rips. If they can feed that intel on this isolated player to the rest of the team, who's just sort of statically holding underneath, they're going to try and slip their way up at this point. There's the C4. Missed from the Pulse, and now the Pulse, though, has a bit of an angle to work with. Puts Rips in a tricky situation, so he's just going to push on further up. Knows he has to. Otherwise, he'll just get caught from the backside either way. Goes even further. Goes for the swing into logistics, but well, with the body being lost and picked back up on the swing there on the opposite side, Aces is suddenly on his shoulder in the push around the corridor. 30 seconds. They've been able to find their way into sight, but they have a lot of caution. They have no real idea where anybody else is. There's somebody backed in on the corner of Jim, which they've just found. Sprayed, couldn't quite connect on the kill as they're dropped either side of Chaoxis is dropped there by the pickup on the secondary. Shukri on the construction door is hoping to try and put a bit of pressure now with 8 seconds. They know they can play around the remaining time, but Rips has the cover. There's just the Pulse left. Voy is going to slow creep up. Isn't going to try and drop them through the floor. At this point, thought they might be able to catch them, but couldn't quite make it somehow. The 2 rogue players have driven themselves in a solid situation. Revealed one of them. The spray comes around the corner. Aces is hungry for blood, but they don't massively need to push against this. The pop of the shield will not actually net anybody. Buys himself a bit of a rotation around on the opposite side. Sprays towards them, can't quite connect. It's Rips to lock it off, and somehow Rogue pull that one back.
There we go. He's holding his camera this time at the other end, making sure it wouldn't fall over. But yeah, they have it. Rogue will be able to win yet another round. It's 3-2 for them right now, and we're heading up to round number 6. It's the last offensive round for Heroic at this moment. They have the opportunity, of course, to get 1, maybe 2 more for the overtime situations. May they reach that. And as we're heading into it now, the Thunderbird seems to be hovered over. But there's always going to be that 6 big face. Durza might not actually stick it, considering there's no lock-in yet. No, it's actually the Pulse that gets swapped out, and it will turn into a Tachanka. All right, that's going to be an interesting one. So we have Smoke and Tachanka together. That is definitely going to be making the plant hard if you don't take care of those 2.
That's it. I think what you're looking at as well is the way that the 2 attacks have formulated themselves before. Both of them have ended up being these hatch drop attempt on the plants. Both of them have been around that sort of default take on that kitchen hatch down to the back of the armory, but at the same time the pressure starts from blue. And we saw them use the smoke canisters to good effect, just to sort of stem the push and the kind of prod that especially Aces and Leon have been kind of deadly with so far. They keep driving themselves into the site, so anything to buy you an extra 15 seconds is perfect. Double that down with now another person who can play on the opposite side. Well, you've sort of got a good way to hold their attack, put them into a little bit more of that confusion that led to a bit of a team kill and a round win before.
Yeah, definitely so. Just looking at the Tachanka there. It's just a solid tool to restructure the side. Shotgun is really nothing compared to it.
Look at that, it's so
way
clean.
faster. It's so much faster and it's so much cleaner as well. And it only uses a fraction of your ammunition right here. But Shukri already under some pressure. Some pings are coming out. Rip's not quite able to lend a frag because he just fell back right before he was able to be in striking distance. So he will keep his life for now, probably never knowing he was this close to death.
Busying away with the drones. The pace of Rogue getting a confident hold inside the first 2 floors is so good. It's something where sometimes you've seen them struggle, and sometimes you can see them, I guess, misplay stuff, and whether it's just the confidence of them attacking down below and knowing where everybody is from strat work, or it's the pre-placed drones, either way, it's been so quick on Rogue's approaches here in this situation. It gives them so much more time to try and formulate the actual take onto the site itself, which, to be fair, is built around it. It's built around those canisters and buying time. It's built around the hold and the denial of that intel. Now with the Thunderbird as well, it gives them a little bit more of that, well, let's stick in this corner and meet them 5-on-5 head-on that I talked about before.
It's the opportunity, of course, you have that extra 30 HP every now and then, the opportunity to heal back up if a gunfight didn't really go your way. First nitro already been popped, by the way. Wasn't able to find anybody as of yet, but there's still loads of denial left. You still have 14 Shumikas, you still have 3 of these gas canisters, so if they try and commit to a push and those 2 operators are still left alive, this is going to be definitely a big opportunity for them to try and waste it and try and stall it out as long as they possibly can with just those utility pieces.
Now, trying to see if they can catch an angle here. The drones are still busy, burrowing their way around the dirt tunnel and looking towards the back of the A box. Ooh. Kind of hidden on the corner. It's consistent pings. You expect someone to be held there. Being able to catch them and burn out those ADS is going to be the start of the play, but it's Durza, and you assume that they've got a Thunderbird there with them too, just to overheal, just to keep themselves a little bit more solid. Chaos actually has it just on the inlay of dirt there, ready on the door as the flashes start to come through. This is where we're going to probably see the C4 or the chance of the smokes. There it is, right underneath. Caught, though, in the midst of it. Blaz went for something heroic, but unfortunately couldn't quite make those dots connect. Durza gets one back, and suddenly Leon is already putting that pressure onto Blue, as we talked about before, into Church. Pops over with the pistol, drops it, and suddenly it's that fragging pair going electric.
Definitely so, and they have the 4 rounds for Rogue. Now you're thinking back to what the desk said before. Heroic's defense is heroic, and their attacks are the opposite of it. They're going over to the attacking side now, Emmy. And we always say 2 sides to a game of Siege. We're going to keep repeating that. That means that even if they get 2 rounds now, they might be able to get much more after. But if the desk has no faith in it, then will they be able to perform to it? I love this view, by the way. It's
So cool.
Who looks the most like their operator at this point?
Jaeger and Cryan. Okay, no. Well, it's gone. Maybe Chaos isn't that much. Maybe it's just because they're both wearing glasses. I don't know. Have we ever seen Jaeger's face, or is it just still a secret?
Maybe in. I know we've seen a lot of faces in the Extraction trailer. In the Outbreak trailer that we've had a lot of faces. I know Jaeger was a big part of that. You know, he was the heli pilot that crashed, you needed to get him back. So maybe we've seen faces.
Who trusted Jaeger to fly?
He's the only pilot, I believe. Well, not anymore, because now we have Thunderbird that can fly. So
he'd go for the spawn peak. Jaeger. He was trying to crash it into.
You know, he was like, all right, I'm flying this heli, let's put it in auto hover and try to spawn peek out
just 416 out the window.
I don't think it worked because he crashed, you know. He tried to spawn peek the alien virus, but, you know, you all know what happened afterwards.
The bravery of a Jaeger, man. Spawn peeking.
He tried to save humanity, but instead we ended up with loads of alien threats.
Went and ranked, put on an Ember skin, and tried to spawn peek the virus. Talking of Voy, takes care of Prano very quickly. Very quickly, Prano, I guess, was just sort of lost in dirt. And look at this. Hey, remember when we saw Rogue try and take an opportunity here on the spray through? Well, they're going to see if they can do the same. Blaz inside Blue. Suddenly, everything is a go here. Can Rogue react better towards when they suffered this before? Leon and Shukri find 1 apiece, and Shukri's been able to drive them into the site itself. Sprays over the top. Suddenly, it's only aces left. And to be fair, he's had a stormer of a game so far, but when you're on the back foot in a 3 versus 1, it does not make it easy. Buried on the backside of Church. They've been able to get that blue control and everything that they need to see if they can get the diffuser down outside of, as you said, the diffuser itself. rotates around, and as they pick it back up, they buy themselves a couple of seconds. The spray comes through, and they're going to see if they can get a plant. They've gone for a slight adaptation here, and it's just going down behind the third box right about now. The spray on the first, and the chassis goes for one, just gets out of there in time with a bit of a wiggle and puts themselves in a 2 versus 1. Tries to bait the play on the rotation, sprays through. They're well aware of where it's going to be coming from. One on the left, though, means that rotation's going to get caught off. Voy finds it. And hey, remember that first round when Rogue read the defense being offside? Well, look at that.
Same happened here, but this time they managed to, well, basically punch themselves through. Just the 2 kills onto the side quickly allowed them to, of course, continue. The defuse was dropped just momentarily, but there was already a 2-minute advantage in that case, which they could utilize. And now Heroic, well, they have their first attacking round. They still need to find at least 3 more if they want to go to overtime. And they need to find 4 if they want to take the win here. So Rogue still the ones that have the least amount of pressure on them, you can almost say. They're also fighting for number 8 place rather than trying to get out of the auto relegation spot, which currently is 80% given out to Heroic. Every point they will get, though, it will basically soften the pain by about 5% chance that they'll make it. But, you know, after next week, it can be completely different again. So at this moment, it's all too varying yet to tell.
Great take, great drive, great focus, as we said. Where we've seen Heroic stumble is on their attacks. So if they can pull themselves even early into this engagement, they could really build behind that momentum and try and find a drive here. Alternating sites and seeing if they can find a little bit more success elsewhere. There is still the potential of getting some of that early confrontations. Obviously, Prano was the first body to go, but from then on, you've still got a lot of other potential here. The spaced out ADSs, Cryon can play along the top here for a bit of time. There's also, obviously, the mute jammer to make sure it's not so easily got out, especially with the potential of Flores, who's been pretty consistent throughout this club, especially with the Thatcher Maverick ban.
He's a very strong operator, of course, very flexible. Has 4 RCE drones, little explosive drones you can use to try and take out utility, create rotations with, or well, maybe even displace some of the attackers, or defenders rather. It would be better if you would be displacing your own teammates with it. Either way, a very flexible piece of utility. And we saw a lot of usage of Flores. The first stage it was available, a little bit less now, but still making quite a lot of entrances in the operator lineups.
Yeah, they tried to punish whoever they thought might be over here, and to be fair, we saw Leon on a bit of a stretch, but long gone at this point, opening up the hatch to give themselves the rotation underneath as well, just to try and take as much of Club as possible in a very short breath. They need to sort of get some of the control underneath this hatch as well to make sure that they don't get swung on. A cheeky C4 on an approach against construction can end any take and drop any of the electronics on that now single wall.
Yeah, that's it now. It's a single wall. Beforehand, you could leave one soft and make a bunch of rotation through it, or lines of sight, so you could try and challenge anybody in construction. But that's no longer possible. So he's about to make his presence known here in lobby. Might actually decide to just hold on for now. Not quite sure. Pressure coming in from above, or actually trying to help. There you have it. There's with a free kill. He's got a little bit too far out of the corner, and that means he's going to be stuck actually inside of his own rotation. Missed a little bit, gets downed. Still alive, could be picked up. Rips now is going to be occupied with the member that is up on the window. Decides to just completely rotate out to its oil pit.
Yeah, Daz is back up, and Shukri knocks Prano down now. They found themselves with a great breadth of space, and still with 50 seconds, loads of time to try and apply the site pressure that they need to either way. There was a bit of a extended hold here underneath Interlounge. As I said, they needed a bit of the control to make sure they weren't accosted, and they thought that they would try and take a little bit more, but the cover has otherwise not been there for them, and they've just been able to drive themselves through underneath for Rogue. And Rogue now, Rips is playing a very dangerous game here, is waiting for some of this space to fall. He's sort of doing all of the garage holding himself, but also all of the holding onto Blue as well. He knows his time is kind of severely limited as we see even more of a stretch of the players. It's a big rotation underneath to Oil. Potentially, no. Going to swing up their way onto blue with 15 seconds left. Oh, that's the push, and that's the take.
Oh, no, not like
Sprayed
this.
through. Leon gets the double, puts him in a 3 versus 2. The hop in on the close window, but it's a skeleton key up in the spine.
No time, no time, no
Rips
time.
is ready to swing onto it, goes for the take. They're going to try and stick the diffuser. The hop over, gets it, puts them in a 1 versus 1. Can't quite get the angle. He's too loose, too wide, and just going to get the rotation. Pops a couple of bullets. Storm at the end, and it's a triple kill for Rips.
He made it way closer than it had to be. If he walked one more step towards the left, he would have been able to pick up the kill before he went down, before the diffuser went down. But he manages to get the counter defuse and the clutch there in the 1v2. I thought it was going to be not enough time, but it was just enough time. Right before the clock hit 0-0 and ran out, because there's still a little bit of time left when it does. The planter went down. And with that, we have 3 on 5 now. Rogue is 1 point away from reaching match point. And that means Heroic is 2 rounds away from potentially, well, having a very tough final 7 matches to come up, which they all would need to win if they don't manage to get this one. And then even then, it wouldn't be secure yet, because they lost to both the competitors that are above them. Secret. And then if they lose this one, also against Rogue. And those are the 2 they're basically competing with to be relegated or not to be relegated.
The double entrance onto Cash Door, swung around on Leon. Now, it was obvious that the intention there was to get the control of the bottom of red at the same time, because the push from red was half a second afterwards.
That's it, right? It's just half a second in that case. That's literally what made the difference in this round. If they were a little bit earlier, you would have saved that push. It would have been your round. It would have been 4-4 now and all equalized up. But due to that little delay, the double kill in the door came through. Dropped the diffuser, wasted some of the time, made sure they had to go for the defuse because there was no way they would be in time for the kill. And even then, Rips able to get the clutch off. So, well played by Rogue in that round. Rogue need to make sure that that timing does not happen yet once more. They need to make sure that in the future, they'll be able to push up synchronized. Either way, 2 minutes 45 on the clock as we speak. There's yet another action phase, yet another attack that Heroic needs to go through. And this time, we're in the gym and we're in the bedroom. A bit of an extension, of course, towards CCTV cache as well. Question will be, is Heroic going to be ignoring it, or are they directly going to be punching through it?
Now, skin of their teeth in that last round by Rogue, and they should be well aware of that. They should be well aware of the fact that it came down to the spray around the double on the door. The misplay, I think, is the only real way of surmising Heroics there. But at the same time, they had to make the push when they did. And it was so close. Whether it was just the call of we're up red or we're about to be up red being the difference, either way, it led them into a situation where it could have been a 4 versus 1 or a 3 versus 1 to what was a 2 versus 1, which led to a 1 versus nobody. Here is, I guess, that chance for growth for them to say, well, we're so close, we just got to lock it off. But that should be, I think, a wake-up call for Rogue, especially to kind of be like, look, they are taking our early strats, they're taking our early holds and breaking them apart. They're very good at reading how we're set up and putting pressure against it. We need to be more aware of it.
Beautiful shot there from Blast. Just waited until Grind snuck up the stairs and knows there's going to be a second one around it. Just falling back ever so slightly. Rips, of course, inside the bar is looking to potentially make his way back up, but he doesn't know his angle will be watched. Blast holding off that rotation is being punched now as well. Durza trying to go for a bit of a chase. He's not going to be able to land any of the shots, but at least the pressure will be on. Blast also missing some of these shots. There's heavy pressure onto Rips, who will finally fall. And there's a minute 10 left on the clock. It's going to be a, well, should be an easy push for Heroic, but we'll see what happened in the last round.
Again, this early close down by Heroic is absolutely fantastic. They're so good at reading what Rogue is doing and putting the pressure onto them. Now slip past, they've put themselves into another 5 versus 3, but it's seeing if they can build behind it before this starts to happen. Leon on the late round finds 1, finds 2. Drift drops the diffuser carrier outside. You're also looking at, obviously, the Thermite's gone. They still have the Hibana, but with the Flores, it's going to make things potentially a little bit trickier and dicier to try and recollect. 40 seconds, it's a huge rotation. To go and get that diffuser, you're dropping into a place in a wall that's already open, and you've lost 2 bodies on the swing too. It's not easy. Blaz is going to hold off to make sure it's safe for as long as he can. Is able to catch 1 wide as Pirano went for the attempt on the canister there, and it's just sort of an easy pickup. But look at that timer, look at the situation, how we're in. Look at Aces waiting for the drop here on the hatch. finds the spray, but no! Shukri falls from the heavens, hits the floor from the top. The spray over the top can't quite connect on the gym equipment. Shukri is the one able to lock off a round.
They didn't pick up the diffuser here on the side of Heroic. It was always going to be a kill game, so, you know, the player that was inside of the construction did not have to stand up there. Of course, you want to shut them down as they start flooding in, but that might have actually saved the round. Of course, hindsight, 2020. It was a great play from Leon Gids, dropping the diffuser there, and unfortunately, they were not aware of the fact that the diffuser has not been recovered in that case. Otherwise, it would have been a match point right now. Feeling ever so confident and comfortable. As Gym Bedroom again will be the side of choice. Now, maybe, just maybe, we'll see a little bit of a less heavy roam because they just get shut down so quickly in these last 2-3 rounds.
It's the thing, it's those loose plays. As I said, the early round from Heroic has been fantastic. But their executes are struggling because they have the diffuser carrier isolated, trying to do some other work, which Rogue keeps punishing. Whether they know that they're punishing that specifically or not, either way it keeps happening. And it's something here where both of these teams have something they can sort of pick up, because that late round generally has been much dicier from Heroic when we've sort of seen it played out because of the problems that have happened elsewhere. And you know, Rogue just needs to tighten themselves back in a little bit, not give these loose players for Heroic to sort of strike on. And as I said, whether it's built on reading what they're doing, whether it's built on the drones and the pre-placed intel, which we've seen be very good from Heroic throughout this, either way, it's Rogue generally who's suffering, and Rogue who's been able to scrape through. It could very well have easily been a 5-4 the other way around. That's right.
It could have definitely been. It could have even been a 6-4 for Heroic at this very moment. Of course, if any of the defensive rounds would have gone a little bit different. Either way, it's a bit less of a roaming setup. I believe only Krine is currently a bit rogue, you dare to say. He's not playing with the rest of the team. He might actually already rotate it back up, though, which would completely defeat the point he was just trying to make. Either way, it is at least certain that they're playing a lot more heavy on that top floor, so it should be harder for Heroic to try and clear out these roamers.
Now, Blaz is waiting to see if anybody approaches on that stair set, but currently nobody feels like they want to drift too far away from the site itself. It's going to allow them some time to start trying to open up these angles. It might offer some more protection to the work of Chaoxis and the protection of the diffuser here, as the Flores drone is able to take care of that hatch, makes holding that mirror window much tougher. To be fair, even when you have that angle, we've seen it drop from the opposite side anyway. Trying to find that gap in that bubble on the mute jammer as Chaoxis just lays it at the top. No, not quite right. Shuffle it over a little bit further.
I think that might also not make it either. Window has been opened up, or at least, no, that will get it. Okay, so that will open up. Just create another opening again. Leon Gids is already feeling it. He's like, you know, I know exactly what I did last time around. Let's try and do that again. As Void is the first one to fall. It worked indeed. He manages to yet again do the exact same thing. Open up his mirror window beforehand just to create a bit more of an angle as well. Needs to be careful. Oh, Shukri just not watching the rotation there. And Leon Gids picks up a second kill. There's going to be Durza down below. That was the Buck that was trying to put some pressure down. And Leon Gids almost single-handedly holding up the Gym and Bedroom for the second time in a row here.
Now Blaz on the drift underneath, looks for the fight here. Doesn't know Krine is just close on the angle, or might. Either way, he knows now. Dropped and taken care of just after, puts them in a 5 versus 2. That single loose player wasn't too far away and was sort of ignored as the drone gets caught on the opposite side. There's so much utility, they don't really have the time to take care of it. Leon finds himself one more out of this hatch, out of this opening, keeps continually driving this team, cannot find Shukri, who has been a bit of a stopping force over this past couple of rounds, and the step in for Heroic and doing his part, but needs to be able to pull off an ace in the stand-in game here to drive them at 2-level pegging and keep Rogue off of map point. 10 seconds, no diffuser, 4 kills, and Rogue isn't really flirting with the idea of danger. They don't have to, but now they're on map point.
No, they definitely don't have to. Leon Gids managed to pick up 4 or 5 kills from that same angle in 2 rounds. Really just shutting down the entire attack there, because the whole idea is that, you know, you just wait. There's going to be the pressure from highway. There's going to be the pressure from the downstairs area with Durza. And at that moment, you can all collapse all together if the bathroom is clear, and you can just push in. So we all know how that worked out.
Yeah.
twice in a row. He manages to shut down the entire attack from the jacuzzi balcony there. And now we're heading over to Church Arsenal, bottom floor yet once more. And this could be the very final round of tonight. This could be the match point that Rogue need to get those 3 points. And with that, distance themselves even further from Heroic. And a potential auto relegation, which would mean that their fight truly will be for the 8th place.
6-4. Back down underneath, and I feel like we're going to get more of a flat hold here. I don't think we're going to get the exploration of the space that they tried before. It was something that both teams tried and neither found any success in. It was read perfectly and absolutely executed to perfection too. Here, I guess Leon might be going for a little bit of a trailblaze all the way up to the top, going to reinforce and see if they can draw some of the focus, some of the attention. But as we said, and seeing Heroic's pre-phase droning has been fantastic. It's been so well put together. Yeah. Gathering the intel that they want and need.
Definitely so. You have to give them combinations for it. Really been able to be strong in the opening part of that round. It's basically a bit of the trouble that Cloud9 or now Mentis went through during SI, for example. Always these opening kills, 2 or 3 even, but never really being able to close it out in the end. It's very painful when it happens like that, but at least you got that part of the game nailed down. You just need to work on the rest after that. And Heroic, well, they might have not been able to pick up the rounds that they would have deserved based on the back of their starts. But that is just mainly due to impressive performances from Aces and Leon Giggs. They have been able to clutch it up every single time.
Now, they do still have the 2 bodies on the top floor, sort of flirting with the idea of danger there as they just kind of play around the slight openings in the window, but they don't decide to stay there too long. Leaves Aces on the top floor by himself for a while to hold on the fort and draw as many of the Heroic players away to try and find a fight as possible. Now, though, as we get the pick up towards the kitchen side, they're looking for the pressure they can apply onto the hatches itself. They're trying to set themselves up for the execute whilst also keeping BDIs on the floor above them. Obviously, there was the danger. And we saw a little bit of the angles opened towards the door and the entrance onto the corridor just outside kitchen, but Shukri is able to pop this without too much danger or damage coming through from Aces above.
This is, of course, with the
I
Nitro,
say.
able to get the kill onto Blaz. Now his presence will be known, and now it's going to be the decision up to Heroic. Will we hunt him, or are we going to be ignoring him and hitting the side directly as he opens himself up? A couple of extra angles to, well, fall back to and try and rotate all the way into the strip club if he feels necessary. Drops at least into billiards, has the opportunity now to peek the bathroom. It's looking like he will. But of course, there is no real pressure coming down yet from Heroic onto him. They're just trying to completely ignore him, and that might actually come back to haunt him because Aces, he's just waiting for the push. He's just waiting until they start dropping the hatches. That's exactly when he will start moving in. Knows when it's coming, gets that kill. There's going to be Shukri down. There's only 3 left on the side of Heroic. This would be, or should be, a Rogue victory at this point.
Now the pressure's onto the site itself. Now they were looking towards dirt, 50 seconds, but every second is pressure. The ping is there on the body that's just at the bottom of the staircase. They try and find the catch on that loose side. Now the slow creep towards the bathroom and the lock off in the corridor itself just outside is where the fight is, but it's Crying that locks it off here. Heroic a 5 versus 2. They still have all the confidence that I think 2 of our analysts have, who haven't quite made it back to the desk yet, but they might need to start the running as the pressure comes and the push comes, and Fresh holds his hand up because suddenly he's going to have to be joined by his co-workers because suddenly Rogue has locked it off here, and you can only assume the hurried run from Jess and Milos is going to be as quick as some of the attacks that we've had this game, but Rogue are the ones that have locked in this victory.
Yeah, definitely they have managed to get the 3 points. With that, they distance themselves from Heroic even further. And that means that they will be fighting, as I said, not just for the major for this stage. There's more at stake for them. They want to end up in the 8th place. They want to make sure they do not have to play the relegation game against the number 2 of Challenge League at the end of this season.
Now, then, as we find ourselves fully stocked and ready to go, let's throw it over one more time to our analyst, Jess. No, Milos, actually, you take it.
We have
Thank you,
a
Em.
desk name. Remind Em what it is.